Everybody. So today I'm doing it a little later. I'm going to be talking about if I had to start a business from scratch. I'm 43, soon to be 44. If me as we'll say early 40s had to start a business again, start out from scratch, what the hell would I do? And I thought I'd just talk this out to you guys tonight because some of you are on a little journey of your own. You might get something from how I would do this. So let's say, for an example, I've just left my job. I've walked out my job. I've quit. I've, just walked out the door. I've got no runway. I've got no big nest egg I can sit on. I've got no big investors. What's a business that I could do? How can I do it today? Well, the first thing I'd look at is obviously, what am I going to sell? You can't make any money if you don't know what you're going to sell. So in my history, I would go to how can I package up my knowledge and expertise in a way that could benefit another person or another business. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. And let's say I've got a month before I need money. I've got to basically pay my way in month one. This is what I would do. So I've got this offer. I've got this expertise in whatever it is. Let's pick something. Let's say I was in a law firm and I've walked out and I've got I don't know, some legal background as a successful lawyer. Now I could either start my own law firm, which is regulated and all that stuff, or I could be a business advisor to law firms. If I've built a successful law firm, I could be a business advisor to law firms, whether it be a consultant, a coach, or something like that. That's something I could do, and it's something I can launch pretty quickly. So I'd need a package, right? I'm going to go, okay, I'm going to sell my consulting and guidance after building a successful law firm. I'm going to go and guide other people on that journey. Okay, so first things first, I need an offer. So I'm going to think, well, hang on a minute, how much money do I need to make? If I want to make 200 grand in a year, that means I need to make 16K a month, and it will be a little bit kind of up and down. Do I really want to be selling 500 quid things to make 16 grand? No way on earth. Do I want to be constantly searching for more and more clients? Probably not. So I want to do a retainer of some kind. So I could do a 3 or 6 month retainer to help a law firm grow, deal with infrastructure, operational challenges, man management, all that kind of stuff. So I could put my services together and an offer together to say, over the next 3-6 months, I'll help you improve and streamline your operations so you're more profitable and you get more caseload done. Okay, so I know what I'm selling. I'm going to pitch it pricing wise around the 5K a month mark so that I don't need many clients. And if it's 5K a month for 6 months, I only need to have 4 clients on the go at any given time. Everybody's still with me here, right? So I've got an offer at 5K a month to law firms for 3 or 6 months, and I need to have 4 clients on the go at all times to make that work. So I now need to go, how do I get 4 clients? So first off, my go-to social channel will be basically LinkedIn. That's the one, because that's where lawyers are going to be. I'll probably bring email into this as well. So if I can't use any money, if I've got no money, I'll just use LinkedIn on its own. But if I can spend a bit of money, I might get Apollo, which is a really good tool. So Apollo.io is great for doing kind of outreach, but also finding contact details for companies and law firms. So I've got Apollo and I got LinkedIn. Number one, I'm going to put up a 1-pager on my LinkedIn explaining what my coaching or consulting program is and the price points and everything, and put it up in my featured section. I'm going to redo with free Canva my whole profile to speak to those law firms who are maybe about 3-4 lawyers, so they're making decent money, but operationally they're a little dysfunctional. I'm going to basically align my profile to people who want to grow faster, grow better, and streamline their operations. And I'm going to make my profile just line up for them. Then I'm going to go, right, I need to find these law firms. So either through Apollo or through LinkedIn search, I'm going to look for law firms around that size, maybe 10 to 15 people with 3-4 lawyers in there. So I know that they got good billings to be able to pay me, basically. So that's the group of people. And I'm going to need roughly, just to play it safe, to find and map out about 1,000 of these lawyers, partners of these small law firms. Not because I'm going to need to pitch them all in one go, but I need to map them out to have a big enough market to be able to support me for the next year. So 1,000 will do that more adequate. That will be perfect. So I've got my 1,000 contacts. Now, what I'm going to do is my first job is to start connecting with those on LinkedIn. So I found them in Apollo. Apollo gives me their LinkedIn URLs and I'll start connecting with them. Now, if I'm on a free account, I might only be able to do a small number a day, maybe 5 a day. On a paid account, I could probably do 20 a day. And I'm going to start posting just for those people. Everything I talk about will be problems that they're probably facing. I'll share stories of my own experience building a law firm. So I'll put all of my content out and then I will make my next bit, which is my plan. So given I do what I do, my first order of business would be I have to build massive trust. These 1,000 people don't know me, right? They have no idea who I am, right? So they're not just going to buy from me because I pitch them. So I've got to build some way of building trust. So I might write an article about the 7 challenges growing law firms face. And I might write a little article and I might share it with them in the DMs. That's the first thing. And then I'll put a discovery call link in there as well. So that's my first way, building trust and going the 7 challenges of law firms. So I help explain those problems and they go, oh yeah, we have that one, we have that one, we have that one, and diagnose why those problems exist. Don't tell them how to fix it, why they exist. Help them understand their problem better first. So that's my first thing. I'm connecting 5 a day or 20 a day, depending on my growth. James, you've made a good question there. So Apollo's just, the reason I say Apollo is because you can get email addresses. I could use Sales Navigator, but I am going to use email a bit later in this plan. So I'm leaning to Apollo because I need email as well for this, because if I'm on a free account, say, I don't have Sales Nav, or even if I did have Sales Nav and I've got to get my first 15 grand in 30 days, I've got to basically speak to a lot of them quickly. I've got to build massive trust. And when you're starting out and you need money, which is my hypothetical situation, I've got to go faster than I would like. If I had a runway of 3 or 4 months, I could do something a little bit different. But because I've got to do it quickly and these people are not in my network, I'm doing something else. So I'm posting, I'm sharing an article. The next thing I'm going to do is within a week, I am going to host a webinar to follow up that 7. And I'm going to talk about why these problems never get fixed in growing law firms and actually stop them growing and hit their profitability. So I'm going to do a webinar and I'm either going to host it, I'm going to create the event on LinkedIn. I'll probably go live and do it live on LinkedIn like I'm doing now. But with Apollo, I can get all those emails and start emailing those people to invite them to that webinar. I am not going to pitch them I'm not going to pitch them. I want them to come to the webinar, and the ones who come to that webinar about growth being halted by these problems, it's stopping harming their profitability. They are the ones coming interested in those problems. So I've got this kind of like email list now that I'm going to email them and invite them to come to the event. Now, the majority of them are not going to come, and that's fine. But if a small number of them do, and they're coming for the right reasons, the problem that I've defined in the title, I now know I've got let's say I've invited 1,000, and let's go at 0.3. I've got 30 people basically coming to the webinar who resonate with the problem, and I'm going to just teach and share my story and my experiences with those 30 people. So I'm going to guide them why those problems happen, help them understand it again, how it impacts their profitability, and show them my approach to solving those problems. Not the step-by-step tutorial, my approach. So they buy into my approach, my method of solving those problems. And then after that event, I am going to follow up with all of those 30 in the most personal way. I'm going to look at the website, look at what they're doing, and follow up as personal as possible and get 5 or 6 of them on a call. It doesn't matter if they all showed up or not. That's what I'm going to do. So I've got 5 or 6 calls now. It's now down to my job. It's my job now to be really smart in when I go to those calls, really diagnosing their specific issue, what's motivated them to come to that call, understanding what their goals are, and helping them see the tension between where they're at and where the goals are. So it creates that gap between where they want to be and where they are becomes more obvious and clear. And then I would ask them for permission to share with them how I could help them close that gap. And I would pitch my offer 3 month or 6 month with my methodology of how to solve it. And I take all of that solution pitch from all the information they gave me at the beginning. And then I would do that again next month. And I would do it again next month. And I would do it again next month. I'd still rely on email at this point to basically get people to sign up for that webinar because my LinkedIn network isn't big enough. I'm assuming I'm starting from scratch. I'm assuming I don't have these people in. And if I'm sending 5 connection requests a day, it's going to take me a good few weeks to build up any kind of audience there that are resonant with those issues and topics. So LinkedIn is like my slower burn approach because I have to get 3 clients in month 1. But that's what I would do. I could go outbound, but the risk with going outbound, particularly just outreaching to people individually, I get a 22% response rate to my outbound outreach because it's hyper personal. And so I could do that. The issue is I'd be doing it to people who have just come straight into my network, which is not much more than a pitch. At least if I invite somebody to a webinar and then I ask them for a call, it's a little warmer. And it's less pushy to invite a stranger to a webinar or an event than it is to say, hey, do you want to buy my service? So my approach, just to summarize, if I had to start from scratch, I'd build a kind of short-term retainer offer. James, I'll come to your question in a minute. A short-term retainer offer, 3 or 6 months, $5,000 a month. Map all that out in my methodology. I'd start connecting with those people on LinkedIn. I'd use Apollo to get the data, up to 1,000, say. Then I'd start connecting and posting about their issues and then invite them to a webinar. Polly, well, let me just answer James's question. No, James, I wouldn't put them to an email sequence. I would just do like a blast, basically. So I'd take the data from Apollo, put it into something where I could just do 1 hit, 1,000, 1 hit, 1,000, and then just do it's not a sequence, but a series of emails to invite them to a webinar. That's what I'd do. Polly, on research, I would try and get, and this is where a lot of people go wrong, is if I understand the business that I'm going after, the sweet spot. So let's say it is the law firms with less, a couple of partners, a couple of lawyers, and admin staff. I would be looking for law firms that are in that kind of 10 to 15 people range. With Apollo, you can actually do that. You can find that range. So I would, with Apollo, look for 10 to 15 people working for a legal firm. And I would try and get it as tightly as possible because every person that I add in that is wrong, right, masks a conversion problem. So I try and go like 10 to 15 people employed. That means roughly their payroll bill is going to be, in the 30, 40 grand a month range, which means me offering a retainer for 5K is not an exorbitant amount of money. So I always think about that from the headcount point of view. If I'm approaching a small business owner, I always think about how would my price point be perceived in their world? And that 5K price point, and this is just off the top of my head, is roughly, it's not a huge amount of money. So I would do a lot of research on the persona that I want, manual. I don't trust AI with a lot of research at the moment. I think it's just off. I'll do some of it, maybe help AI refine my thinking, but then I will go, right, yeah, it's the law firms of this size. I'd go to Apollo, find them, get the 1,000 people, get them into an email list and start inviting them to the webinar. Long term, I will flip that over and use LinkedIn more, but I have to be profitable in month one. I have to make money in month one. So that would mean for me, probably working like a dog for 3-4 days at the outset and then just following a routine. Building the offer, sorting out my profile, getting my content right. And then it would be daily connecting, doing the research, daily connecting, posting, and then sending those email invites over and over and over again. Then the big bit is delivering that event so that it adds value, and then the follow-up off the back. And I would not put them into a sequence for the follow-up. It would be one by one by one. If I want the best possible conversion, I follow up one by one. And it is a ball ache. It is, I'll be honest with you. Right? When I do an event, I follow up everybody. Every single person, one by one. Because the conversion, the touch point, the personal touch point rockets the conversion. James, what am I using to publish this LinkedIn Live? I'm using Restream for this one. So my lives like this, I will use Restream. But then when I do my weekly big one, once a week, I do a big one. Mine's on Tuesday. And then I've got another one on Friday, just trying to catch up. I'll get about 300-400 to those. They're all LinkedIn. I do all them on LinkedIn, so I don't use Apollo for that. But I get 300-400 for that one, and then the follow-up starts. And obviously I prioritize, who are the most interesting people. NNN can do a lot of heavy lifting. But here's probably what I would say. There are tons and tons and tons of different tools you can use. And I agree with you, automation where you can. But I have a belief, and it's not very popular, but it's you go manual so you know what works so that you don't automate failure. Be surprised how many salespeople will write email cadences and then literally plug it into any of the tools. And, before you know it, 500 people have gone through that and they didn't even know if it worked. So I always go 100% manual, make sure it all works, write down what I did so that then I can build any automation. But if I want the best conversion is me going ultra personal. Like 22% of my outreach gets to calls. 22% is insane. But it's because I'm prepared to do what most people won't do. If somebody approaches me and I can see I can help them, I will go not personalized, not just fill in the blanks. I mean, I will record something for them personally. A lot of gurus do this, but they don't go to the final mile. What they'll do is they'll I'll create a generic video, and they don't say your name or anything like that, or they put AI in it, and it's just off. Do you know what I mean? It's just off. So I will do the same video almost, just tweaked for each person over and over and over again, because the conversion rate's insane. I have tried going more generic, and the conversion rate drops. But 22%, it basically works out for me. It works out for me that it's roughly about 20% of all, sorry, let me get this right. 22% of my call book outreach goes to call bookings, and roughly about 40% of that actually converts. So you could do the maths there, but it's like a 22% call booking rate, and then it's about 8% from outreach to closed deal, because I go ultra personal. Now that might not be sustainable and scalable in the long run, but that's where you map out what you do, and you either then hire resource or you automate. But I just treat, even though I'm the founder of the business, I do my own sales process still myself. I keep my feet in the game in terms of outreach and doing all that stuff, because I can't really teach people how to do it if I don't do it myself. Otherwise, it's just information. So that's what I would do. If I was starting out from scratch, that's how I'd get I'd shoot for 4 clients on the go at any given time, 5K retainer, focus on the 30 people, get the 30 people to the webinar, get 6 or 7 of them on a call, do the same cycle again. And obviously add more people into the mix, grow my network more, post more. But that's the obvious way to do it if you're doing it from scratch. Now, I haven't mentioned much about content here. And I have said that I would post. But one of the things I wouldn't do is rely on the posting, because I have no idea. I have no idea where those posts are going to land. You just cannot predict it anymore. So I would think about the posts as just building awareness, building trust, being helpful. And if something comes from it, it's a bonus. I would treat my whole content strategy as the bonus, just because it's out of my control. It's totally out of my control. So it's the bonus. For me, the event and the inviting people to the event is the core bit. If I do that bit well, I get clients. If I do the content well, I have no idea if I'll get clients, because it's all down to who saw it and did it resonate. I can't control that information. I can't control what happens to that. So that would be my go-to. I could go outbound if I wanted to. If I did, I'd go outbound ultra personal, but it's kind of grates me personally to go and hit people up, or I wouldn't hit people up, but outreach to them if they don't know me already. I would try and do something to get them to know me already, because cold is the worst way to try and get leads. It might be easy in the sense of if you just plug it in and point and shoot and hopefully you get some stuff back. But it's a big volume game, that. It's a big volume game. And you have to constantly be playing volume. I'd rather go, how can I filter that volume into something more qualified, and then go outreach. So that would be my 2 cents of how I'd do it. Polly, how could you generate 3,000 plus effective leads per day? What are you selling, Polly? What are you selling that you need 3,000? That's a lot of leads. I'll answer the question, but it sounds like, Polly, you're selling something quite low ticket, because 3,000 to, convert them, the money to make off them would be, relatively low per person. 3,000 leads per day. So you are going to have to go, and this is the crazy bit, I'm not going to recommend this, but if you were doing that on LinkedIn, don't use ads, because it's very, very expensive. James, I'll come to your question because it's a big question, that one. So, Polly, I would go to Facebook ads, to be honest with you. They're cheaper. Or what I would do is I would do a YouTube ad, which is quite cheap for awareness, and then I'd retarget people. You could do the same on Facebook. Retarget people on Facebook or YouTube for people who've watched 75 or more % of the video. It's a Gary Vee strategy, but it works. trying to go outbound to get 3,000 leads, you're going to risk an account. You're going to have to, dare I say it, spam people, and that will not help your account. And some people will get annoyed by it. So, but you know, 3,000 leads, you're talking about 9,000, 9,000+ people. If it resonates, you've got to hit up the only way to scale that is ads reliably. Hey, Naisha, Happy New Year. Right, James, you're going to start doing webinars, and I was trying to figure out if it makes more sense to do LinkedIn Live or private Zoom. There's a really important point here on this one, right? About the difference between the results you get from both. I do both. So let me just explain what happens if you do LinkedIn Lives. LinkedIn Lives are your huge trust builder. So I do them slightly, probably too many times than I should, but I enjoy doing them as well. So LinkedIn Lives, you can actually invite people, and on the company page, on your company page on LinkedIn, you can actually click registration form, and literally on that, you can actually, they can register. So you can literally capture the data on LinkedIn for free on your company page. And you can invite people from the company page, go to the event, click invite, and you can invite people. So that would give you the data, James, on LinkedIn side. Obviously, you could use tools. I'll not mention any more because I might get disappeared by LinkedIn, but you could use tools to do it. So that's the first thing I would do is go, right, okay, LinkedIn event, company page, data's there. You can invite people, done. Now, where's the difference between a Zoom and a LinkedIn Live? Right, so what you find with a Zoom is people are more cautious about showing up. So your show up rate is lower. So what happens is the people who come to the Zoom are really serious because there is a risk that you sign up for a Zoom and then you're going to end up in a room with 3 or 4 other people and say, let's all come off camera and introduce ourselves. And that could be really icky, particularly if you're going to do it about pain points. People might not want to self-identify with a pain point. So LinkedIn Live is good for the kind of early stages. The conversion rate on LinkedIn events is lower than Zoom. So you have this weird trade-off where I can get on an event and get them to watch about 300 people watching a LinkedIn Live, either real time or delayed or replayed, 300. With about 400, 450 signups. So I can get a lot of people to watch it. Then my conversion rate drops because some people check in, check out, all of that kind of stuff. But I've got bigger numbers, email list, all that kind of stuff. So bigger numbers, smaller conversion. I can do that on a LinkedIn Live. But it's really the big trust builder for me for those 300 people. The Zooms, I can get the similar number of signups, but the show up rate is shocking, right? Shocking, like 10%. So if I get 300 signed up, it's 30 people. Yeah. So that's where you'd struggle with the Zooms a little bit. But if you do that Zoom right, the conversion rate is higher. So there is this weird trade-off of which ones do you do. And I tend to err on the side of being open to more people in my audience and get more of the right people showing up, because long term, that's going to suit me from a trust point of view. So from a trust piece, actually being out on LinkedIn Live is better, but the conversion's less because it's easy in, easy out. Whereas the Zoom, a lot of the people who are not that serious just either don't want to click join Zoom because I want to watch it passively. I don't really want to get involved. So that's my comparison of the two. Now, to put some context in that, I've been doing the LinkedIn Lives for 5 years. I started them in the pandemic and I've done every week pretty much, other than when I've been ill or something like that, every week for 5 years. Last year, we did just over $2 million in revenue, and we do we're starting ads in 2026, but we do no ads. So literally, the LinkedIn Lives are insane. And most people don't do them. I don't understand why they don't do them. I literally tell all my clients to do them because it's the trust building piece. That's the real bit. It's like, actually, I know Dean, and that I know you is a massive advantage. So I just get more people to do it. And on average, James, this is what we've learned from doing this for 5 years. 75% of our clients, before they became clients, have been on or attended or registered for at least 2 of my LinkedIn events. 2. So there is a cadence to doing this. The average is 2, and 75% of our clients have been to 2. So that's why I do it this way. I do invite some of those people, because obviously you capture their emails from the LinkedIn events on the company page. I do invite those people to private Zooms, but they've already been to something before. So it's a bit different. So that's how I approach it. Oh, I think I'm going to go to bed. It's first day back tomorrow. I'm knackered. I've been doing lives almost every day over Christmas because I wanted to I've been kind of readjusting what I've been doing. You know, we're still doing the same thing. Maverick still does the same thing, but I've just been refocusing what we're doing. So one of the things I've found, I don't know whether you've found the lives, well, a couple of thousand people have found these lives useful over the last 2 weeks. One of the things I've been doing is I'm going to talk about some ideas that are kind of percolating and kind of talk about them in a daily live, just to kind of talk them out. And it's been really beneficial for me. But I actually made a sale over Christmas. Somebody signed up for my accelerator program because of the lives. So it's insane, James, that 75% of all of our client base, and I make a differentiation between client base and customer base. Client base means they have spent 4 figures or more. Customer base means they've spent, a small amount. Maybe they come to a workshop I've done in a physical location. So client base is anybody sending 4 or 5 figures or more, 6 figures with us. 75% of those people have been to 2 LinkedIn Lives, registered. We don't know whether they showed up, but they registered for 2. So it just shows you the power of these lives. And weirdly, I am betting on lives more in 2026 than anything else because of the trust factor across all of social media. You cannot believe anything you see anymore. I watch a ton of AI videos and I love them. But when it's somebody saying that they can help you with your business, help you grow, help you get customers, I just think there's a lot of stuff that's faked. And there's a lot of big promises out there. And it's only going to get worse with AI to the point where we're going to have this flip, I think. This is what I'm banking on, betting the house on it. We're going to have a flip whereby people are giving Eddington, I'll come to your question in a second. It used to be that you look at a post and you would assume that people are telling you the truth. You would assume that that's real. You would assume and you would give the benefit of the doubt to any post, even the ridiculous promises. But I think we're going to flip because of AI, not just AI, but AI is the kind of catalyst that flips this. We will flip to a point where we don't believe anything we see. And so I'm betting heavily on lives because it will get me way more trust because they'll see me talking in real time. There is no script here. Maybe I should have some little script of some kind, but there is no script here. So the lives are acting as a filter, both for me, in terms of you either like me or you don't. It's a filter of me going, do you understand me? Do you get me? All of that stuff. But it's also a filter of, does this guy know what he's talking about? And there's no better scenario than putting somebody in a live situation and saying, how would you solve it? and you watching them work it out in real time. It might not be the most slick production. It might not be, perfectly edited because it's me just talking it out. But the trust piece is massive. And I did say in one of the lives, I'll come to Eddington's questions in a second. I did say I do my lives, and it's a bit what the advice I gave Polly. I produce my lives for the 25 people who watch to the end, not the 300 people who watch for 5 minutes. And by optimizing for the 25 people at the end and building it for them, if somebody hangs on to a live for 30 minutes till the end, my God, I've built some trust with them. Or they're watching because they think I'm an idiot, right? But either way, I've built some trust. So I'm not so worried about, did I get 300 people or, I'm more worried about how many people stayed to the end. So Eddington's question. Eddington, I'll wrap up with this one. When you do a LinkedIn Live, you cannot just go live on the platform. So you can create an event. But you have to use third-party software to go live. So I'm using Restream right now, and that's hooked up to LinkedIn. So if you're creating an event, Eddington, feel free to message me. I'll walk you through it. But you have to hook up the software to be able to do it. And James, one thing that's really useful as well, even though my YouTube channel isn't that great, because I don't spend a lot of time there, because I'm going live to LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, X, all at the same time, I've had leads and clients who have watched these lives on YouTube, even though all of my focus predominantly is on LinkedIn. So it is a bit of a weird formula to just go live, but you end up building a die-hard group of people who like what you do. So if I was starting out from scratch, making my first 200K, I'd have one offer, I'd sell it to one audience, the law firms, and then I would literally do events to actually capture the leads and follow up those conversations. And that's what I would do over and over and over again. Right, I said to my wife I would only be half an hour. I've been 37 minutes. So have a great rest of your Sunday evening. I will be live again tomorrow night. I've decided I'm going to do evening lives because it's more sustainable for me. So I'm going to do lives in an evening. I'm going to try and do every day. We'll see how long I can hold this up for when I'm traveling, but we're going to try and do it. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Have a great first week of 2026. And if you've got any questions about what I've shared, drop me a DM and